I set aside 2 slime for my asham, but then I went ahead and I used it to purchase 2 animals, 2 non-consecrated animals. So we'll say, so now I've gone ahead and I've committed an act of me'ilah. So what's the halacha? So one that's worth 2 slime and one that's worth 10 zuz. So the one that's worth 2 slime, you should offer up for your asham. And the second animal is your asham me'ilos. Suppose that you'll put the second animal to good use also, right? Because remember again, me'ilah requires an asham. We're going to see about me'ilah actually requires 3 things. Number one, when you are moel, right? When you ultimately again use Beis Hamikdash properly for your own mundane purposes, three forms of liability. Number one, repayment of the principal. Number two, payment of a penalty fifth. And number three, the bringing of an asham me'ilos, right, to the carbon. So we'll say, so in this case over here, you use the animal worth 2 slum to satisfy your obligation for asham, and you'll use the second animal, vashin me'ilos. So presumably, we're assuming what it means is you use the second animal ultimately again as your asham me'ilos. Next, echal asham ve'echal chulin. So we'll say, same case. I had 2 slum, and again, set aside for my asham. I go ahead and in this case, I use one of the slum to purchase an asham, and another seller to purchase another one of the slum to purchase a chulin animal. If the one purchased for asham is worth 2 slime, then ultimately use it for your asham. And the second animal will be used for the me'ilah. Presumably, what that means is for the asham me'ilah. So that we'll see. The yavi ima sela v'chumsha. And I will say in this case, you still have to pay back the sela, which is the amount that you misappropriated, plus the penalty fifth. Beautiful. Says the Gemara, my me'ilaso diktani reisha, v'ashen le'me'ilas. I will say, in the first case of the Mishnah, which is really actually the second case in the Mishnah, what does it mean when it says, again, remember, I had 2 slums set aside, I used both of them to purchase 2 elim, right, 2 animals that were chulin. So what's the halacha? If one of them is worth 2 slime, I use the one that's worth 2 slime for asham, and the second one is used le'me'ilaso. Asks the Gemara, what does it mean le'me'ilaso? Ilema el asham. If you want to say that it's the el asham, that it's a special carbon for me'ilah, so lememra the chomesh bahadi ayel ma'isile. So we'll say what that sounds like is you're paying your penalty fifth, but you're building in your penalty fifth into the value of the asham me'ilos. So is that actually true that you can do that? V'aksiv ve'es asher chata min hakodesh yishalim ves chamishiso yosef alav. I will say, but it's not what it sounds. It sounds like that halacha l'maisa, the penalty fifth is something that has to be paid independently of the carbon. So the Gemara says, v'haksiv, and we learned ve'es asher chata min hakodesh yishalim ves chamishiso yosef alav alma b'hadik zelo ma'isile. So we'll say, it sounds like the chomesh, the fifth, is actually paid with the restitution amount of the theft. Va'od katani seifa. So we'll say furthermore, it says in the second, really the third part of the Mishnah, same case where I had 2 slime. In this case over here, I purchased 2 animals, one for chulin, one for asham. If the asham animal was worth 2 slime, you offer it up as an asham. And the second animal is offered up as a me'ilah. And you have to pay along with that, along with the asham animal. What do you have to bring? A sela and a chomesh, which is what? Principal plus the penalty fifth. So we'll say in that case, it's explicit. That's what? That halacha l'maisa, the extra penalty fifth that you have to pay has to what? Be paid separately, and the value of that cannot be rolled into the carbon. Alma chomesh bahadi gzelo ma'isile. So also, what do you see from here? You see from here that the penalty fifth is ultimately again paid back with the actual principal and cannot be rolled into the carbon. So also, it happens. It's a fascinating shaila. It's not riveting. I'm going to give you that, but it's fascinating, right? So here I know that I have to pay back the penalty fifth. So the shaila is, can I roll that into the value of the carbon, or does it have to be paid cash, so to speak, together with the principal? So the Gemara seems to be seeing that we seem to have contradicting inferences. So the Gemara says, I'm sorry. Ella, Me'ilah Samaydis Hani Mehekdish Mishtei Slaim Dafre Shinu La'asham Velakach Bahen Shnei Elim Mechulin the Yafesh Tei Slaim Makriv Le Ayel Asham the Yafas Sarazus. So I'm sorry, let me read that again. So rather the Gemara says Ella Me'ilah Samay. So it says the Gemara Ella Me'ilah Samay. Ella Me'ilah Samay is Hani Mehekdish. Rather again I will say a person's Me'ilah ultimately again represents that which they were Mehana from the Hekdish. Mishtei Slaim Da'afar Shinu La'asham, for based on the two Slaim that you dedicated, ultimately you're going to remember the intention of the two Slaim originally was to purchase you an Asham. The Lakach Ban Shnei Elim, and you use them to purchase two Elim which were Chulin. The Yafesh Te Slaim, that was worth two Slaim. Makriv Le El Asham, the one that's worth two Slaim you offer up as the El Asham. The Yafas Sarazuz, and the one that's worth 10 Zuz, just calling the Mishnah, Yoivle. Ultimately, again, you offer that up. So the Gemara says, Yoivle, Lemaidis Hanime Hekdish, Dahavi Gzela V'chumsho. We'll say you offer that up, and that represents that which you benefited from the Hekdish, which represents the principal plus the fifth. Umay Mi'ilaso. So also, what does Mi'ilaso mean in this context? Gzelo. It means ultimately, again, that the second animal offered represents the value of that which you quote-unquote stole from the base of Mikdash, plus the penalty fifth. So b'mayo kimta l'me'ilaso dereisha gzelo. So we'll say, therefore again, you are interpreting the word me'ilaso. In the second case of the Mishnah, when it says that halacha l'maisa, the extra animal goes to me'ilaso, me'ilaso means what? That animal represents the value of that which you stole, the principal plus the fifth. But yet, ema seifa, look at the end of the Mishnah. If one of the animals was bought for an asham, one of them was bought for chulin. If the one for the asham was worth two slaim, yikariv la'ashamo. Ultimately, again, it will be offered up as the asham. Vasheni lemi'ila, and the second one ultimately again is offered up as mi'ila. V'yavi ima sela v'chumsha. And I will say in that case, it says quite explicitly that what? That you have to bring the sela and the chomesh separately. Alma mi'ilaso ayel asham. So we'll say, therefore, it turns out that what? In that context, mi'ilaso means what? Mi'ilaso means your el ashamos, right? Your ashamilos. Reisha karile mi'ilaso gzela. So we'll say, it turns out that the Mishnah uses the same word in two different ways. In the early part of the Mishnah, so mi'ilaso refers to gzela. Mi'ilaso refers to the amount that you quote unquote stole, which refers to principal plus the penalty fifth. Top of Chav Zayin, Seifa, Karle Me'ilah. So Ayel Asham. And the Seifa was when you use Lashon of Me'ilah. So Me'ilah refers to what? Me'ilah Mamish refers to the carbon that is offered as the El Ashamos, to which the Gemara says, Reisha, Tahabile Ayol. So we'll say the Hagosium changes that to Zaban. So Reisha, Tahabile Ayol, the Zaban. Karen v'chumsha karle l'mi'ilaso gzelo. So we'll say in the Reisha where you have an ayol that you bought. So ultimately, again, that ayol represents the value of the Karen and the chomesh. Therefore, it calls the me'ila animal gzelo. Seifa delo habi ayol zaban Karen v'chomesh karle ayol asham me'ilaso v'yavi ima sela v'chumsha. The second part of the Mishnah will say, where again a person did not purchase an animal that was worth the value of the principal and the penalty fifth, does not call, or I should say, calls the El Asham his mi'ilah, and in that case you have to bring the principal and the additional fifth as a separate payment. It's actually an interesting case. What happens if you have a series of penalty fifths? Now, what does that mean? So take a look at Rashi. This is on the right-hand side of Rashi. Bekinos chumshin, kigon ma'al bebeis sloim, the asham kama pamim, ad shialu kol chumshin lebeis sloim. Ma'u sheyikach mehan asham lemegilas. So listen to this interesting case. So it says, so what happens if you go ahead and you repeat the act of mi'ilah multiple times, to the point that what? So remember again, an asham mi'ilos. So listen to this interesting case. So what happens if a person commits multiple acts of mi'ilah, principal and penalty fifth, in the form of an offering? So now if I do repeated acts of mi'ilah, So now all of my chumshin are equal up to 2 slime. Could I just bring a carbon worth 2 slime and call it a day? To which the Gemara says, "Sabai Rabbi Menashe bar Gada bekinus chumshin maushe iskaper mi arminan and tim silomar adam iskaper b'sheva chakdish mishum dikatarach kamei." So this is actually an interesting question. Look at Rashi again. Maushe iskaper bechumshin lavadon sheyikna b'hen ayo vakeren yipol nedava dahamosahu. So ultimately again, so remember this Asha Me'ilos will atone for the penalty amounts, for the extra fifths, and ultimately again the Karen amount will be used for Nedava. So the Gemara says one more Rashi, Shevach Hegdish, Kigon Lokach Al Bisela, V'Hukru Tzlam V'Amdlash Time. So we'll say, here's another very interesting question that this is going to focus on. Shevach Hegdish, what happens if Hegdish appreciates? Can I go ahead and benefit from an appreciation in the value of a consecrated item? You'll see what this means in just a moment. So if you say that generally a person could achieve atonement or could utilize for atonement the appreciation in hektish, mishum dekatarach kamei, because again, I will say, let's say I have an animal, let's say I have an animal in my possession, and that animal is kodesh, and it appreciates. So now, halach l'maisa, can I use that appreciated value for my atonement purposes? So if you say in general that Adam is kaber b'shevach hektish, why? Because listen, I'm taking care of the animal. Because I'm taking care of the animal, therefore again the appreciation I can benefit from it. But in this case over here, where ultimately again the appreciation takes place independent of any of my efforts, maybe I shouldn't be able to use it for kapara purposes. O dilma, imtim telomar in Adam is kaber b'shevach hektish mishum delo afreshe. So I say, or you could say in general a person cannot use appreciation in hektish for their atonement purposes. Mishum dala afreshe. So say, what does that mean? What that means is at the time that I separated out the animal, it was only worth X. Therefore, halacha l'maisa, the only atonement capacity this animal has is based on the value it had at the time that it was designated or separated for its carbonic purpose. Aval hadein kinos chumshin da afreshe ikal miskaper. But I will say in this case over here of the additional fifths that are piling one on top of the other, perhaps I should be able to use the appreciation of the animal to satisfy our carbonic liability. To which the Gemara says, because I will say this in general is part of a fundamental shayla. Listen to this interesting question. Miskaber b'shevach hektish alo. We'll say, can a person achieve atonement through appreciation in hektish or not? So let's analyze this. Tashma. We'll say fascinating. Hamarfish ne'islam la'asham. So we'll say the Gemara actually quotes a brisa like our Mishnah. Hamarfish ne'islam la'asham. If a person separated out 2 coins, 2 slime, for an asham, v'lakach bohen shnei elim la'asham. So we'll say what ends up happening. I end up purchasing 2 animals. Okay, now watch this. Haya echamen yafesh te slime yikariv la'asham v'ashini yira achi yistai v'yimakar v'yipul damo v'nadava. So we'll say, so again, it's our Mishnah. I set aside 2 slime for an el asham, for an asham, and then what happens? I end up purchasing 2 animals instead of 1. If one of them is worth 2 slime, fantastic. Use the 2 shallow one for your carbon. And what about the second one? Let it graze, develop a mum, sell it off, use the proceeds ultimately again for an adama. Now what's the case here? My love de zabin ba'arba. My love de zabin me'arba. Changes it, yeah. Arba zuzi is a seller. So my love de zabin ba'arba, ayo, v'shabach de shavi timnia. So we'll say, is the case not where I bought the animal over here. So we'll say, here's the interesting part. I have 2 slime, and what is the Mishnah's case? I have 2 slime, and I bought 2 animals. The Mishnah says if one of them is worth 2 slime, use that one for asham. But one second, if I have 2 slime and I bought 2 animals, so again I will say, even if you're not a businessman, generally what would that tell us? Right? That neither of them is worth 2 slime. Right? So halach l'maisa again, they must each be worth less than 2 slime. So what's the case? Listen to this. So is the case not the following? My love de zabin ba'arba, where ultimately again I bought the animal for 4 zuzim. We'll say 4 zuzim is 1 sela. So in other words, I bought the animal for 1 sela, and what happened? V'shabach, and I will say the animal appreciated, and now v'shavi timnia. Now the animal is worth to 8 slaim, 8 zuzim, which is what? 2 sela. So once I say in reality over here, I bought an animal for 1 sela and it appreciated now to 2 slaim. So we'll say, what do you see from here? Now here's what's amazing. So we'll say, this is what it means to now. The question is, how do you look at that animal? Do you look at that animal based on what you paid for it? Or do you look at the animal based on what it's worth now? What's the nafkamina? What's the nafkamina? Practical difference. If you look at what it was worth at what you bought it for, then what? It can't use it for asham. Why can't you use it for asham? Because minimum value of an asham animal is 2 slime. If you look at what it's worth now, Baruch Hashem, now it's appreciated and it's worth 2 slime. So both say this is what it means. Adam, now both sides understand, where did this animal appreciate? Quote unquote, meaning in whose domain did it appreciate? Technically in Hekdesh, right? Because remember again, I had designated this animal. It was clear that I was going to bring this animal as an asham. So technically speaking, this appreciated while in the domain of Hekdesh. So the fundamental shaila is, who gets to benefit from the appreciation? Now this case is clear. What did the Mishnah say? I can take the animal that was worth 1 sela, appreciate now to 2 slam, and what? Use it as my carbon. Right? The other one's put out to grace because I don't need it. But halacha l'maisa, one of the animals that appreciated now can be used as a carbon. What do you see from here? What do you see from here? That a person has the ability to achieve kapara through an appreciation in hekdesh. No. We'll see. One of these conversations where you think you make such a good argument. This happens in marriage all the time, right? I'm so sure that I just said so good. I said so good, and then one word, no, low, sorry, not correct. Low, hakam. Thank you for giving me that opportunity to get to that. Low, hakam mayaskina. And so we'll say, says the Gemara. Now, what's the case over here? The ozil roa gabe. No, in fact, we'll say what happened over here is I bought it at a discount. In fact, the animal that I bought was actually worth 2 slime. Whatever it is, for whatever reason, the shepherd gave me a discount. So the purchase price was discounted, but the value itself was always 2 slime even from the beginning. Tashma, lakach ayal b'sela upatmo. So what's the interesting case? I buy a ram for 1 sela, and I fatten it up. Ve'mido al shtaim, and ultimately now it's worth 2 slime. So what's the halacha kosher? This can be used ultimately again for my asham. Shmamina adam iskar b'shevach hekdesh. What do you see from here? That a person has the ability to benefit from shevach hekdesh. That even if something appreciates while in the domain of hekdesh, I can benefit from. Tushing Gemara says no. That's not a good raya. Lo pitmo shani daha chasle tamya. What's that? To fatten up an animal, what does that mean? Right? I'm not learning. That it doesn't get fattened up with ruchnius. It gets fattened up with gashmius. Right? That gashmius is my gashmius. So I'm investing in the animal. So we'll say, obviously, if I'm the one investing in the animal, then of course, that's my shevach, that's my appreciation. Next, tashma. So we'll say, again, we're just trying to figure out, can I benefit, in this case, benefit as defined by achieve atonement through appreciation that happened to an animal that was hegdish. So tashma, lokach al b'sela v'hari b'shtayim. I purchased an al for a sela, and then it appreciated its worth to kosher. Could be used for an asham. So we'll say, so again, what do you see over here? I can benefit from appreciation in hekdesh. Teresh Gemara says, no. Hachanami keshef hatmo. We'll say, what's the case? I fattened it up. Same thing. I fattened it up, and because I invested the funds to fatten it up, therefore, halacha l'maisa, I get to benefit from the appreciation. Ihach, hainu reisha. So I don't understand. It's the same. You're telling me the same case twice. The reisha and the seifa are both cases where I fattened up the animal, so therefore, again, I could use the appreciation. Here's the difference. Reisha dizabin ba'arba va'ashbechei ba'arba achrina the chaslei tamya. We'll say the Reisha case is where I bought the animal for zuzim, 1 sela, and I fattened it up. I invested in it another sela, so that now it's worth 2 slime, right, or 8 zuz. Seifa, listen to this interesting case. Dizabin al ba'arba. I bought the aisle for one zuz for 4 slime. The ashbechei bitlasa. What did I do? I invested 3 more zuzin. Vishavi tamnia, and then the aisle appreciated 4 zuzim. So I'll say, listen to this case. In case number 1, let's just keep it easy. The aisle was worth 1 zuz, 1 sela, and I invested another sela to fatten it up, and now it's worth 2 slime. Okay, so then of course I can benefit from that shevach. Case number 2, the animal was worth 1 sela. I invested into it three zuzim worth of fattening up materials. And then what happened? It appreciated 4 zuzim. So the appreciation actually surpassed the investment. It surpassed it by 1 zuz, but now it's worth 4 zuzim. 4 zuzim is 1 selah. So in this case over here, the appreciation surpassed the investment by 1 zuz. So the appreciation went above and beyond my investment. And therefore, again, the Brisa still tells me, right? The Brisa says, and therefore the Sefer tells you that even though in this case the appreciation surpassed the investment, nevertheless, I can use this animal for atonement purposes. Ihaki ema seifa yishalim sela ha chasr leizayim ma yishalim. To which the Gemara says tashlum sela. Here's the problem. Seifa says that he has to pay back a sela, but why would he have to pay a sela? He only lost, meaning the only investment he has is 7 zuzim. To which the Gemara says ma yishalim tashlum sela. Now we'll say if at the end of the day, if you hold that a person cannot benefit, right, cannot get atonement through appreciation of hektish, ki yoev tashlum desela my habi el ben shtei slime ba'inan veleka. Even if he pays back the seller, at the end of the day he has a deficient ayil because the ayil needs to be worth 2 slime. To which the Gemara says, and that's not here, and that doesn't exist over here. The olam kasaver adam iskar b'sheva hektish. To which the Gemara says, you're right. In reality, we hold that a person has the ability to achieve atonement ultimately through appreciation of hektish. Ihachi tashlum desela lo yitain. If that's the case, why would he have to pay back the additional sela? Hainu time the kiyav tashlum desela gezera shema yomru ayol pachos mishtei slaim mechaper. So we'll say the concern over here is the reason we make you pay the extra sela is out of concern that people aren't necessarily aware of appreciation. What they are aware of is how much you bought items for, right? How much you spent is what they're aware of. So we're concerned that a person may erroneously think that atonement can be achieved even through an aisle worth of selah. To which the Gemara says, bottom line, my habi Allah. So we'll say, so what is the answer, right? So in other words, we'll say we asked a fundamental yisodistic shaila, which is, can you achieve atonement through appreciation of hektish? My habi Allah. So tashma b'shas hafrasha yafes sela b'shas kapar yafes shtei slaim yatsa. So I'll say very explicit. What's the halacha? The halacha is if you have an animal that was worth 1 sela at the time that you purchased it, right, or that you designated it, and 2 slaim at the time that you bring it, the halacha is what? That you are yotze, which tells you what I will say, that when hektish appreciates while in your domain, you get to be the beneficiary of that appreciation. And Rabbi say that is how the Rambam paskins. Halacha l'maisa hifrish ashama b'haya b'shas hafrashi yaf esela u b'shas kapar yaf eshtayim kosher. Right? Halacha l'maisa. If the animal appreciated, and Rabbi said this is very important because again, remember in our particular case of the asham, an asham must be worth a minimum of 2 slaim. So this is the fascinating case where I bought an asham for 1 sela, not a case of a discount. A case of where the price, it was just a cheap asham. It was a cheap asham, it was only worth a sela. It appreciated now, halach l'maisa Rambam paskins, you can use that aisle for your asham. He goes on, he says, Va'afa pi sheshbiach me'elav adam miskaper b'sheva hektish. And the Rambam goes on, what's the novelty? So we'll say everyone agrees that if I fatten the animal up, so I invested in the animal, so of course I could benefit from that appreciation. The novelty is even if the appreciation happened without my involvement, just the value of Elim went up, halach l'maisa, I could benefit from that and use that animal as my carbon. Incredible. Says the Gemara, by Rabbi Lazar, Adam is kar b'sheva hektish shalom. So Rabbi Lazar a little late to the party over here, right? So he says, right, can a person go ahead and be mechaper b'sheva hektish or not? I'm Rabbi Yochanan. So let's listen to this. So Rabbi Lazar asked the shaila. Rabbi Yochanan says, Kama shanim gadol zeh beineinu v'lo shama halacha zu mimeni. So Rabbi Yochanan gets a little bit upset. How many years has this guy been in yeshiva, right? And he never heard me say this halacha. So 1 second, did Rabbi Yochanan actually ever discuss this? In Va'al Hada Amra. Yes, Rabbi Yochanan said, and he spoke about the following. This nan Vlad Todo Tmurasa. So we'll say if you have the offspring of a toda. So remember again, you have a toda animal that obviously has not yet been offered up and it gives birth. Or the tumura of a toda, or we'll say what? You had a toda, you lost it, and then you separate out another one. So we'll say in all of these cases, ein tu'unos lechem. We'll say these secondary todos do not bring the accompanying loaves. V'shalach Rabbi Chanina Mishayid Rabbi Yochanan, and Rabbi Chanina qualified this in Rabbi Yochanan. Lo shanu ela la'achar kapara, divlad ein ta'un lechem. So we'll say this is only true when after kapara has been achieved, because the offspring of a toda does not require loaves of bread. Aval lifnei kapara, but ultimately again we'll say what? If the toda has not yet been offered, then ta'un lechem. Then if you offer up the vlad, of the toda, you would offer it up with the accompanying loaves. What do you see from here? Alma kasavar b'sheva hektish miskater. We'll say, what do you see from here? You see from here that Allah Chalamaysa, you can benefit from the appreciation of hektish. In this case, what's the appreciation? The appreciation is the offspring of the toda. So if my toda gives birth and I have not yet offered up my toda, I can use the offspring as my carbon and have to bring the accompanying loaves. That offspring represents the appreciation of the toda, and from here you see that you could use appreciation of the toda or carbon for your own atonement purposes. By Rabbi Lazar, next, Boaz asked another shaila. Bali chayim nitchin olo. Boaz said this is a fascinating shaila that we've spoken about a number of different times, which is our animals ultimately nitchin means set aside for non-use. If something happens to a carbon that renders it temporarily unfit, do we say that once you're temporarily unfit, you are unfit forever? That's probably Chaim Nitrin. Well, to give you a good example of this, take a look at Rashi on the left-hand side of the page, right across from where you see in your margin the Shita Mikubetzes. So Rashi is Bali Chaim Nitrin, now Gabi HaMizbeach. Our animals ultimately, again, set aside for non-use by the Mizbeach. Rashi says, Olo, Kigon, Siyom Kippurim, Umeis Echamen, Ma'an Shekev Chaveru V'yavi Imo, V'yava Achi Imo. This is an interesting question. This comes up by Yom Kippur. Right, so what happens by Yom Kippur? I have to bring two seirim. Right, one is La Hashem, one is La Azazel. Right, one ultimately again is offered up as a carbon, one is pushed off the cliff. So we'll say two seirim have to be brought together. Let's say the one La Hashem dies. In that moment, the one La Azazel is temporarily unusable. So we'll say, so the shaila is, if I bring a replacement carbon La Hashem, can I once again use the Azazel animal? Or do we say no, and I have to just bring two totally new animals? Because once that Azazel animal was set aside for non-use, albeit temporarily, it is non-usable forever. To which the Gemara says, Rabbi Yochanan. So Rabbi Yochanan again gets a little bit upset. How long is this guy been in yeshiva? And he never heard this halacha from me? Did you actually ever speak about this? To which the Gemara says, yes, Rabbi Yochanan did speak about this. So Rabbi Yochanan, you have an animal that belongs to two partners. If you are makdish part of it, right? Let's say the partner was makdish his part, and then he went back and he repurchased the other half from the partners. Reuven and Shimon own an animal jointly. Reuven is makdish his part. Then Reuven buys out Shimon, and then is subsequently makdish Shimon's part. What's the halacha? Kedusha ve'ena kreva. Also, the halacha is such an animal has sanctity, but cannot be offered. And I will say, now the reason it can't be offered is why? Is because halacha l'maisa, from the beginning it was unfit to be offered. Why? Because you can't offer up an animal that is only half hektish. So the Gemara says, it can affect Tzmura, but Tzmura has the same status as the original animal. Shmamna plus. We'll say we learn from here three things. Now we'll say we're actually going to look over here now at Rashi, because Rashi changes the girsa of the three things that we learned both girsas Rashi. Shmamina, the three things. Number one, Bali Chaim Nitchin. Then I will say halacha l'maisa. Once an animal is set aside for non-use, non-carbonic use, or non-use as a carbon, it is forever unusable. Even if the circumstances change, which now allow it to be used, halacha l'maisa, once you are unusable on the Mizbeach, you are forever unusable. Next, Shmamina dichui me'ikara havi dichui. So you see from here that a nidcha status from the beginning remains, even if the situation changes. Ushmamina Yesh dichui b'damim. And I will say furthermore, we see that what? Yesh dichui b'damim means that even items that have financial sanctity, ultimate financial sanctity, halacha l'maisa again can have dichui as well. Good. So we'll say weiter. Boy Rabbi Lazar, huzlu tzlaim ba'olam. So listen to this case. What happens if bottom of Amud Aleph, all the way on the bottom of Amud Aleph, all the way on the bottom, says the Gemara, Boy Rabbi Lazar, huzlu tzlaim. So we'll say, so what happens if halacha l'maisa, the value of a tlan, the value of the tlan goes down. So we'll say, so this is a fascinating case. What's happening over here is my asham has a minimum value of 2 slot. What happens in general, this is fascinating, what happens in general if it's just livestock goes down, so that now you can't really find an aisle that is worth 2 slot. It's a fascinating shayla, no? Fascinating shayla. So we'll say, so what's the halacha? So by who's l'tlan ba'olamau? Mi amrinan. So on one hand, we can say, listen, the Torah obligates me to bring what? The best of my animals as a carbon. So don't worry so much about the price tag. We focus on quality. So therefore, halacha l'maisa, as long as I bring the best of the animals, irrespective of the price tags, is fine. Oh, Dilma, kesef shkalim ba'inav aleka. Here is the problem, we'll say, which is what? The Torah says quite explicitly that the asham must be worth what? Kesef shkalim, 2 shkalim. And now you don't have that over here. I'm Rabbi Yochanan. Kamash. We'll say again. This is Rabbi Lazar. I put Rabbi Lazar, right? Rabbi Lazar. I think you should take the rest of the day off. He says because every time he asks the question, Rabbi Yochanan, Kamash Shalom Gadol Beis Hamedrash. Hello, Shemar Allah. This we'll say actually in this one, right? How many years have we grown up in this Beis Medrash and we never heard this halacha? So I'll say so in this case again, Rabbi Lazar is actually Rabbi Yochanan is complimenting Rabbi Lazar. What a good shayla. What a good shayla, right? How many years been in the Beis Medrash? We never heard this shayla. Below, this never came up. Rabbi Yochanan, Rabbi Shimon Yochai, Mipnei Malo Nitna Torah Kitzon Mechusari Kapara. But say, why is that the Torah never went ahead and gave evaluation for certain karbanos that we call Mechusari Kapara? For example, the karbanos that are bought by Zav, Zava, Yoledes, Mitzora. So we'll say these are people who have to bring karbanos in order to go ahead and come into the mikdash or eat of their karbanos. Why doesn't Torah give a minimum value? Shema yuzlu tzlaim ve'in lam takran lecha b'kachim. Because what are we concerned about? So if Torah gives a minimum value, then what's going to happen? If livestock depreciates and you can't find a carbon that satisfies the minimum value criteria, then what? These people will be stuck. Rather, it means we never learned this halacha in the Beis Medrash. So we'll say we see this halacha. We'll say we're just going back on Rabbi Yochanan's statement. Rabbi Zera used to go ahead and review his entire learning every 30 days before Rabbi Yochanan. Rather, it means again, for whatever reason, this question was never asked in the Beis Medrash. But back to the topic. Remember again, this is fascinating. Why does the Torah not give a minimum value by mechusari kapara, by the karbanos brought by the zav, the zava, the mitzora, people who have to bring a carbon in order to achieve atonement, come back into the Beis HaMikdash and eat sacrificial items? Why is there no minimum value? For this reason, because if livestock depreciates, then what? You can't find a carbon that is worth the minimum value. These people won't achieve kapara. Mask for Abaye, but 1 second, it says Abaye Elamiata. Chatas chilev yinatin la kitzva dila kapara asya. If that's the case, then you're telling me any animal that's not for kapara purposes can have a minimum value, since ultimately, again, that it's for kapara, for atonement, but not ultimately, again, to allow people to eat. Or to eat sacrificial items in the Beis HaMikdash. So chatas chil that is for kapara and not for heter purposes should have a minimum value. If that's the case, only again, Asham Nazir should also have a minimum value. Because halacha the Gemara says Batalahu. Batalahu say is that it's not exactly clear what Asham Nazir accomplishes for the Nazir. We know that it's a mandated carbon. It's a mandated carbon. Halacha l'maisa, we don't know what it accomplishes. So the Gemara says, Rabbi Yochanan, Rabbi Shmuel Silber, ein lecha davar shuba levatala, ela asham nazir bilvad. To which the Gemara says, kasha. The truth is that is a good question. Why doesn't that have a minimum value? So I just want to point out this question about Huzlut Lama, we're going to come back to. So halacha l'maisa again, what happens in the event that you have halacha l'maisa, an ayil, right? After bringing asham, the Torah says is a minimum of 2 slaim. Ultimately, what happens if the value of livestock goes down? What do I do in such a circumstance like that? So I will say the way the Rambam paskins is, in the event that ultimately, again, it depreciates, so halacha l'maisa again, we go with the status of mivchar nidreichem, that if you can't satisfy the financial threshold because the value of livestock has just depreciated in the world, then halacha l'maisa we go with the best animal, even if it doesn't satisfy the criteria of the 2 slaim. That's halacha l'maisa. Good. We'll say Mishnah Amud Beis. I'm sorry for the pace in which we're going. Just have to try to finish. Says the Mishnah, Hamafrish Chatasav. I'm sorry? Yeah, goodness. It's a short Amud Beis also, so we'll be fine. It says the Gemara. So this is why we have night Seder. This is why we have night Seder, 8:30 tonight. Hamafrish Chatasav. So let's go right there. So this is actually a fascinating case. Well, the good news, don't worry, because we'll say tomorrow is the last daf of the Masechta, and it actually is a very, very, very short Amud Beis. So it will be fine. Whatever we don't get through today, you have to check. You don't trust me? I wouldn't tell you. Little lemuna. So says the Mishnah, Hamafrish Chatasu Amei. So let's listen to this interesting case. So let's say this. A person is mafresh. Ruvain is mafresh chatos. He has to bring a chatos for whatever the reason. It doesn't make a difference. He's mafresh chatos, and then he dies. So we'll say, Ruvain mafresh. We'll say we know this. This is easy. What's the halacha of chatos shemesu bailov? You can't do anything with it, right? You can't offer up a chatos if the owner died. You can't offer it up on his behalf. So watch this. So Ruvain had a chatos. Ruvain is mechal Shabbos b'shogeg. Fine. He's bringing a chatos. He died before he had the chance to bring a chatos. What's the halacha? Lo yivi enu b'no tachtov. His son cannot bring it on his behalf. Now we'll say, this has a double meaning. His son cannot bring it on his behalf, meaning, so Ruvain's son cannot bring it on his father's behalf. And if Ruvain himself happened to be mechal Shabbos b'shogeg, or for whatever reason Ruvain has to bring a chatos, Ruvain cannot use his father's chatos to satisfy his obligation. Furthermore, lo yivi enu mechet achet, afilu hifr shachil shachal amish, lo yivi enu achil shachal ayo. So listen to this. Now let's go back. Baksham, Ruvain's still alive. Ruvain ain't chaylit. So furthermore, we'll say you can't bring a chata separated for one sin for a different sin, even if it's for the same sin committed on 2 different days. For example, if Ruvain was mechal Shabbos and he went ahead b'shogeg and he separated the chatos, and then the next day, Sunday, he eats chaylev, he can't go ahead and use the animal that is separated for the chatos for Shabbos to atone for chaylev. Not only that, but what? If he eats chaylev on Sunday, separates out a chatos, eats chaylev again on Monday, he cannot use the chatos he separated for the chaylev on Sunday to atone for the chaylev he ate on Monday. In other words, what I simply said, chatos offering is non-transferable. It's not transferable out the gavra. In other words, I can't use your chatos, or in this case, Reuven's son cannot use his deceased father's chatos, and it's not transferable out averos. That once you go ahead and you separate out a chatos for a particular infraction, you cannot use that chatos for a different infraction, even if it's for the same infraction, just repeated at a different time. Incredible. Shnei Amar Karbano al chatos. So actually, Karbano al shem chatos. Because we'll say again, the carbon chatos has to be al chataso. And we'll say it is for one person for one sin. Therefore, it can't be used for a different person, can't be used by a different person, and can't even be used by that same person for a different avera. Menani this. We'll say, from where do we know this from? Rabbanan Karbano. In other words, how do I know that the son cannot use his father's chatos? Because the pasuk says Karbano, but Karbano who Yosef and Yotzer carbon aviv. You can only be Yotzi with your carbon, but you cannot be Yotzi with your father's carbon. Yachal lo yetzi b'carbon aviv b'vehem shefish aviv minakala ala chamura or minachamura ala kala. Aval Yotzi b'carbon shefish aviv minakala ala kala minachamura ala chamura. So I would have thought, when can't I use my father's chatos? Only when our averos don't line up. Well, so let's say let's say a person's father went ahead and violated an avera chamura. He separated the chatos. Father dies. Now what? I have to bring a chatos on an avera kala, a lower avera, or vice versa. My father committed an avera kala, separated the chatos. I committed an avera chamura. I need a chatos. That's when I can't use my father's chatos. When what? when our averos don't align. But if our averos align, so beautiful, right? Father and son, right? The averos align. Everybody has to have some type of Yerusha, right? So we'll say, so again, so our averos align. So I might have thought in that case I could use my father's carbon. Talmud Lomar Karbano. Therefore, the pasuk says his carbon. The Karbanohu Yotzev Yinatzer Karno Shel Aviv. Halach L'Maisa. I can only use my carbon. I cannot use the carbon of my father. Yochel Yetzev Karbon Aviv Bebeim Shefresh Afilo Min Hakala Ala Kala. O Min Hachamura Ala Chamura. Sharein Megalech Nizirus Al Bebeim Shefresh Aviv. So I might have thought furthermore. When can't I use my father's chatos? That's mamish when my father separated an animal. My father, a person's father, mamish designated an animal as the chatos. So again, the chatos is there. The chatos is standing there. That's when I can't use my father's chatos. However, aval yotze Moshe aviv afilu min akala chamura min chamura akala shei adam megalech nizirus al Moshe aviv bizman shein sosmin v'lo bizman shein mefurashin. So I'll say I would have thought like this. But what if my father set aside? Person's father had an obligation for chatos, never designated the animal, but what did he do? Set aside the funds. I might have thought that halacha l'maisa I should be able to use my father's funds. I will say the example the Gemara gives is by Nazirus. If my father was a Nazir, but died before the end of his Neder Nazirus, but he had set aside monies to use for his karbanos of Nazirus, and then I happen to be a Nazir also, I could use my father's funds to satisfy my Nazirus obligations. I might have thought that should be true in matters of all sacrificial law, and therefore again I can't use my father's animal. But perhaps if my father set aside chatas money, I can use his money. Therefore, we'll say the pasuk says karbano. You can only be yotze with your carbon, not your father's carbon. Not yachol lo yetze afilu b'mo shefresh. Afilu min akala ala kala min achamura ala chamura. Aval yotze. So we'll say therefore again karbano. So halacha l'maisa again, I can only go ahead and be yotze with my carbon and not my father's carbon. Yacholo yetze afilu b'mo shefresh. Afilu min akala ala kala or min achamura ala chamura. So say I would have thought, when can't I use my father's? I would have thought I can't use my father's money, even if we have the same type of averos. Aval yotze b'carbon shehefresh liatzmo afilu min achamura ala kala or min akala ala chamura. Talmud lomar karbano al chataso ad sheyehe l'shem chatos. So we'll say halacha l'maisa again, whatever the variation is over here, whether it's the monies or whether it's the animal, Karbano teaches me that what? That halacha l'maisa, again, it has to be my carbon. I cannot use my father's carbon. I will say now, I just want to point out, this is in the specific case of chatos. This may not necessarily be true in other cases of sacrificial law. So yachol lo yetze b'carbon atzmo bebehema shefesh li atzmo afilu min akala ala kala o min achamura ala chamura. So I'll say I would have thought as follows. So we'll stop over here for today. We'll stop by the yachol lo yetze. We'll pick up Emir Hashem over here, second line Emir Hashem tomorrow. Alright, so we'll say so again, continuing in the cases of chatas which ultimately are switched around. We'll see how the said these cases resolve. Shkoyach. We'll say tomorrow last stop of Maseches Kerisus. It's going to be a beautiful, beautiful daf. Hakol holech achar sof. And we're going to be zocheh inside the second tomorrow. The money that the father had in the end. So if it's chatas money, it's yolech chana al yam hamelech. It's discarded. It's just discarded. Other karbanos you can use. You know, if there was ola money or shlamim money or something else like that, that could potentially be used.